is our Chats with LALIA section, and what this is really about is just us investing some time into telling you about our story, what we do, what we're about. With LALIA is a brand, a business. It's our heart's passion. It's really, like Ridow-Ann likes to say it, life, health, movement. Yeah, that's what it's about. And it stands for life and life in abundance. So we try to give you that in every form and serve in every form, and also give everyone the freedom to live exactly like that. Yeah.
Yes, and I am Ridow-Ann Jasmine English. I'm part of the health section.
Yes, and I'm Inesh Ramos, and I'm part of the life and movement section. Yes. And also the other introduction, she must tell you, that she is our communications and brand and marketing manager.
True. That's also part of the package.
Entire bossness here. Yeah. And then, yes, she's our dietitian and she's our health coach. And then there's me, who's the life coach and the yoga teacher and a lot of things. That's why that's why we're here to tell you a little bit more about us and how this began and why we love doing what we do. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, am I gonna start with my story?
You can go ahead. Yes, we're gonna do Ridow-Ann's story first, and then we'll pop into my story, and then we'll see where we go from there. Yeah?
Okay, cool. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on this journey with us. And we hope to provide some insightful content for whatever it is that you're going through, or maybe you can relate to any of the things that we share on this chats that we have. So when I think about my story as why I became a health coach, but also just my health journey in general, I would have to start with me as a child and how I grew up with the perception of health being how you look on the outside. It wasn't necessarily disease or the absence thereof. It was more of, are you skinny or are you fat? And if you're fat, you're unhealthy. If you're skinny, you're healthy. And that kind of, defined health for me in the early stage of my life. And ever since, I've been just comparing myself to that definition and that perception of health. And, that led to a lot of insecurities, a lot of fear for food, a lot of a relationship with food that was just completely toxic, and a relationship with myself that was also completely toxic and harmful to my body. And that's what I started, I went into dietetics, studied nutrition, and realized that food and health is actually easy, but we make it more complicated than it needs to be. Eating healthy, living healthy is pretty simple. And that's kind of what I aim to help people with and help them through, moving from a place of having this perception of health that it's difficult, that it's something that you need to fear, that it's something that you need to strive and you need to work really hard to earn or to attain, to now moving to a place where you're just like, oh wow, it's really that simple? Cool. I'm free now from that heaviness that's, associated with it. So that's basically why I'm doing health coaching, and also why I have a passion in nutrition advocacy and health advocacy in general. So yeah, that's my story.
I love it.
Short and sweet.
I always love listening to your own story because it's just so inspirational and I can relate, and I feel like she's taught me so much about being free, especially when it comes to food, because you, on my side of the end, I was a extreme kind of relationship with food, and I still think sometimes that I'm definitely still healing from it. But before we move on to my story, I'd like to ask Ridow-Ann a question that I love asking her, that's very relatable for everyone and someone can understand where this comes from. Ridow-Ann always explains that she has 3 pillars that she stands on, and these 3 define what health is for her.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help you define what this is for you.
Yeah.
So please elaborate. Tell them what your 3 pillars of health are for you.
So the 3 pillars of health for me is nutrition, movement, and freedom. So the reason I say nutrition and not food is simply because food can be anything, you know, any single thing. And I also don't use the word diet because diets are very, you know, very restrictive, especially in today's society. But I use nutrition because for me, nutrition is having everything but in moderation. So knowing that you are allowed to have all the goodness of that life has to offer when it comes to food, but you now have the responsibility to, you know, have it in moderation. And then movement is not exercise, but it can be exercise. It can be anything that you feel, you know, you can do that day. It's dance. If it's dancing, then it's dancing. If it's gymming, then it's gymming. If it's just doing stretches, then that's it for the day. If it's walking. So it's kind of moving away from the stigmatized exercise so many times a day, you know, fixed program, a fixed routine, to moving the way that you feel led to move, but also being responsible. And that goes into kind of my third pillar, which is freedom. Knowing that you have freedom in your health doesn't mean now that you're irresponsible with your health. It means that you are taking up the ownership of living out your definition of health every single day. And that's what I try to do with that pillar of freedom, and not being irresponsible with that pillar, but actually, you know, still living out healthily, even though I have this freedom with this, you know, gift of health that I received.
Sure. Every time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you have any questions, please comment below, or you can also reach us at our Instagram channels. Mine is Inesh_LALIA and
RJEnglish _
yes, or you can look for Life with LALIA or Health with LALIA.
or with LALIA.
Yes.
See you in our next video.
Ciao.
Bye.